And beautiful. Love you guys.
Love you too.
Yeah.
So you guys are pretty weird dudes, huh?
Pretty weird. Perfect. Yeah.
Have you always been weird?
I came out of the closet being weird. Maybe. I've always been weird. I've always known. Yeah.
Well, when was the coming out of the closet from weird to weirder?
When I found my weird tribe, when I found other people who were weird, and I'm like, I'm not alone? What? You're weird too?
It's pretty instant, actually, when we met each other.
Yeah.
There's some indicators.
Right.
Both had man buns.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Find your people.
Weird. Yeah.
Game respects game.
We'll get you growing it out.
Yeah. I've never felt more excluded in my life. Not only do I not have a man bun, I also don't have a rock.
Or jeans.
Or jeans.
Yeah.
I'll become part of the tribe soon, though. So take us back to 7 years ago. You were in a cafe. What happened next?
I had a money coaching business, and I was looking for marketing help. And I walked into this agency, and walked in the door, and I see one dude, pretty weird looking dude, had a man bun. It wasn't this guy. It was another man bun, and just kind of caught the eye, and I was like, okay. And I look over here, it's another man bun. I'm like, okay. I think this might be a good spot. And it wasn't. That agency was horrible. But that actually spawned us all breaking out and creating our own agency before we really knew what we were doing. But it just kind of clicked instantly. They were helping me with the money coaching business. And then, we all ended up starting working together and launched our own business called Tops. And I mean, that's where it started. Yeah. Serendipitous moments, and then an instant you're my people.
And just for the official record, we met, but we were like, okay, let's have a coffee together before we started the agency. So we met at a coffee shop that has this beautiful little patio on the roof. And I remember sitting across from Dan, and it was just instant, like us meeting you, instant resonance. And then fast forwarding a little bit, we had an office. It wasn't as decked out as Skool HQ. We did our best, get some milk cartons.
Damn.
And
take that, dinosaur.
The budget was limited, but we did have a couch. And on that couch, we sat, and Dan brought in this bundle of
trainings.
Yeah, trainings. It's like, let's pop it on the TV. We could learn some things. Up appears Sam's face for the consulting.com accelerator content that we started to. Well, you already consumed some of it, I believe, right?
Yeah.
It's your
second round through.
Yeah.
It's a wild journey from finding Sam Ovens to hanging out at school headquarters, chatting with him. Yeah. Crazy journey. 7 years. Yeah. Lots of stuff in between. But
crazy.
One full cycle.
Yeah.
What was it about Sam? And was the first time you met him when you guys won the games the first time?
In person, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Sam was the GOAT. I mean, he was just the dude. His ads were everywhere, and he was selling freedom. Be your own consultant, do your own thing, and super grateful. I mean, those courses changed the whole trajectory of my life, our life.
Got you to eat meat?
Fun fact?
You didn't eat meat before Sam Ovens?
I was a vegetarian before Sam Ovens.
Whoa, that's a weird testimonial, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, in his mindset program, he would talk about binaries and how just challenging what is normal for you. So if you don't like heavy metal music, why? Go listen to it. And how we talk about it in our work is and it might have even been the example that he used, but if you think of the New York stockbroker type, pinstripe suit, like smoking a cigar, tons of money, and then kind of like East Coast, and then you think West Coast yogi, surfer dude, probably like some of the
that guy
dudes
over
here.
there.
Yeah, that guy right there.
It's him!
Yeah, it's him. Where there's like, healthy, probably eats, green smoothies, but just like looks healthy, is active, and both of them would point at each other like they're living life wrong.
Right.
But they don't recognize that they are each other's teachers because they're stuck in binaries, right? And it's literally the things that we judge that keep us stuck. And it's in a binary, but if you collapse the binary then you realize like, oh, I have choice. I can be the yogi or I can be the pinstripe suit. And so I was vegetarian and is like eating meat is wrong. And I was like, oh. And then I went and I was like, watched Sam's video. I was like, I think I'm going to have a steak. I'm going to try this. It had been 3 years. And I went and had a steak at the Keg in Canada. I was like, what have I been doing for the last 3 years? This is delicious. Yeah, never looked back. Thanks, Sam.
It's like a complete redefinition of, do you know the Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each
Yes.
other? I'll never look at that meme the same way. I'll think like, no, you're the teacher. No, you're the teacher. No, you're the teacher.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why do you think we judge the binary so much, and why do you think when you integrate it, like everything unlocks?
I think it's like that's literally our work on this planet, is that we're given gifts and specific stories, and we're also given specific like hardships and traumas. And our work is to find our way back to oneness. So we're given maybe not half the puzzle, but we're given a piece. And the ego would think like, this is the piece. I am the piece. I'm the best. And it feels like our work is to find the rest of the puzzle and remember that we are that the person that bothers us the most has a key for us. They are a key piece of the puzzle of this remembrance.
Right.
And if we're living in the one puzzle piece world, we're like, no, I don't need any other pieces. And when you start to have a steak or talk to the surfer, you start to remember different parts of yourself that have probably been locked away from different traumas and things of that nature.
I can give you a perfect example. I get triggered as hell when I run into like a victim mindset.
Ooh.
So when I hear people being like, "Oh, I can," and whatever, like, you know it, right? I get, it just irks me. And if I really look, like, why does that irk me so much? Why do I get so triggered about it? And it's like, because actually, for a lot of years, I was that. And I actually hadn't forgiven that part of myself or like accepted that part of myself. And that keeps me stuck, not being able to progress because on some level, this part is still unworthy or unhealed or whatever. And so every time I run into a victim, I can see myself in that, and I can actually offer them something helpful, but it's actually helpful for me. And then in that moment, it's like we're both healed.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're all pieces of a jigsaw.
Yeah.
And actually, the game of life is to connect with the next piece. And then by doing that, that's actually how you become whole. Mm-hmm. Yeah, baby!
There's an idea of, let's say, source, universe, God, that is, it's complete wholeness, which means it's singular. It is one. And it's a fun little idea to think about, like, when we collapse back into the infinite oneness, eventually you'd be maybe a little bit lonely.
Right.
So make separate pieces and play the fun game of remembering that we're all one, but now I get to see this expression of me. I'm like, oh my God, I love this part of me. It's me. It's you. It's
He's
me.
like,
yeah. And so it's like this infinite love affair. of finding all the parts of yourself that you love through other people's experience and eyes.
Peace.
I would drop the mic, but it's actually on my shirt. I think the really interesting thing about you guys, though, is that's why I kind of at the start said, you guys are pretty weird dudes, huh?
Yeah.
Because the binary of what you guys do is that you guys are like extremely successful, high-level business people who have made millions and millions of dollars. And the previous version of yourself or myself, I don't know about you, who listened to like this, however long we've been rolling so far, would be like, what a bunch of hippie mother flippers.
Totally.
And it's like, there's no way these guys could be like killing it in business, being like big time entrepreneurs, 2-time Skool Games winners.
Yeah.
3?
This is actually good for the record.
Yeah, this is a good clarifying. So
It's time to set the record straight.
That we're the most winningest community of all time on Skool.
yeah. Before Hormozy was in the mix,
Mr. Avocado Days.
Just saying.
I've seen the archives.
Yeah.
So this is a good bit of Skool lore that is about to get lost. So let's bring it. Let's bring it into the recent archives.
Yeah.
So what happened? Because I've only ever seen a screenshot, and I remember like joking with you. It's like, are you the avocado guy? So
We're the avocado.
let's hear it. That's the hook.
Yeah. The avocado was our logo. It was actually it stands for the foundations of like a good business. Every business, you need to have authority. You need to have a validated offer. You need to have an opening offer, a lead magnet. You need to have community. You need to have some automations, DMs, and outbound ads. And if you have those things, it's like those are all the elements, and it spells avocado.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an acronym. So anyways, the avocado was like in there, and that was our community, and that was the method that we taught. And before, like right when payments got released into the Skool platform, Sam launched a membership challenge. And it was the beta to what is now the Skool Games. And if you look back in the archives, you will see an avocado in number 1, and then you'll see Adonis Gang, number 2, by a pretty significant margin, I might add. And then,
What up, Hamza?
just saying. And then number 3 was. Nobody ever remembers number 3. No, I'm just joking. It was the creators. It's like the operators.
Oh, really?
Operators.
Like Brady, Buffer, and the growth operator dudes?
So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How did a bunch of hippies beat Adonis Gang and the operators?
We're working with a greater power than the avocado. Some strange behind the scenes. There's like,
That's cool.
Yeah. I do remember that moment though, because it got announced. So like Sam dropped it. And it's the exact same feeling that we had for the first official Skool Games, but for this first competition, like, should we try and win this? Like, and then we were just imagining, it's like, well, what if we won the first ever Skool competition ever? Probably just be legends. Like, this is legitimately how we think about everything.
Yeah.
So if we do, like,
You do it for the story.
Yeah, you do it for the story. That's literally all this all is. Anyway.
Yeah, why do you think we're doing a podcast on a beach right now?
Story.
Or should I say, the first ever Skool podcast on the beach?
wow.
Yeah.
Story.
Yeah, we just want to be part of the archives.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. So I'd love to kind of enter into like a little bit of a time warp.
Cool.
I'd love for you to kind of like tell us like very, very on hyperspeed, like how you ended up joining Skool. So like the many, many years of entrepreneurial endeavor that led to that point, with specifically like touching on like how you guys are able to integrate things like spirituality and love into making money.
We're doing 3 hours, right, for this?
Let's go. Until the cameras run out of battery. Until Mark's like, guys, it's been dead for 3 days.
And then it rose again.
Oh!
Yeah, I'll just speak to mine, then you can speak to yours. But for me, so my story is like, I was 20 years old and went $500,000 in debt. And I had no clue about money. I had no clue about anything. I have no clue to this day why that banker lent me the $500,000, but she did. And
we also kind of know
now, yeah, looking back. But it was, yeah, and then the project that we took the money for didn't end up working. And then I spent the next, I was in the bank so much trying to not go bankrupt that they gave me a job. And then I spent the next 12 years grinding, doing commission sales. It was like insurance and investments, and just like learning money, learning finance, learning from all the good books like Think and Grow Rich and just personal development. It's like, I was fucked up. I had I'm like, how the hell do I get out of this? And that took me, 12 years of just like grinding. I'm stubborn. I'm like, I'm not going bankrupt. I'll figure it out. But it was like from $8 an hour with $500,000 of debt, no skills, no resources, no community, no nothing. And just literally nothing but like some resolve that I'm like, I will not go bankrupt. I will not go bankrupt.
The spirit of Hormozi's like, you cannot lose if you do not quit.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then it was just like seeking knowledge, trying to learn and get out of the mess that I'd made. And then in that pocket of time is where I learned all of the skills, all of the beliefs, all of the character traits, all of the pieces that make what we're building now possible. And if that was the only way that I could have acquired those skills, beliefs, traits, I would do it again. Even though that was fucking hard and I wouldn't wish that for anybody. And super grateful for it. And still learning, but like as a foundation. And then I think like to tie in the spirituality piece is like entrepreneurship is a perfect exercise in this, because you can't know the next step. There's so much faith required to launch a business or to go out and like pursue the thing that you're passionate about. There's no clear step usually. And so it requires you to cultivate faith and trust and belief in something bigger, that it's going to work, even though there's nothing around you that would suggest that it will ever. And then it does. And you're like, thank God that there's something, like there must be, there's too many experiences in my life now of like prayers being answered, the next step revealing itself in synchronistic form, that there's just like, you can't, I can't be persuaded that there's not something larger than me going on. And then the more I can tune into that, the better life gets. Like the easier things flow, the less you have to try. Not without like, that's a paradox in itself. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't have to force it though. You just know what the next thing to do is if you're listening. And then in all of that mix, it was like I was learning from the greats like Sam, and was just like early, like whenever we launched the beta, I was like, cool, yes. And then that like started.
I remember when you got the email.
Yeah.
And I got Sam's doing this thing.
I think it could be the next thing. I'm gonna like.
Which we did say a lot.
Yeah. That's true. One other like that I'll put into the like for my stories, like I worked with Bob Proctor like 15 years ago, old OG.
Shout out.
Sup, homie. And yeah, I worked with him for 3 years, and he was the one who first taught me about masterminds and about community. And then I had built all of my books of business, every business that I'd run. The foundation had always been around, if I can build community, I'll never have to worry about where my next client is going to come from.
Right.
And so I did book clubs or events, and it was all in person. But community has always been the root. And that was thanks to Bob Proctor.
Very cool.
Mentorship. Yeah. So you already know how we met in the agency. Now you know my story, and then this wizard over here has his whole journey.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about because it feels like there's so many pieces to the puzzle. But when you asked that, one memory came to mind, which was my father and I having a conversation about like what I was going to do, after high school and what I could go into. And shout out to my dad. He was inviting me into some money codes of like, well, you get a job and you can save, and if you do that every month, as you get older, compound interest.
Boom.
You're going to be 55, 60 years old. You maybe could be on a beach in LA just hanging out. And I remember we were in the kitchen having this conversation, and it wasn't landing. And then I asked him, I'm like, well, what if I don't live to be 60 years old? And why that came up is because my mother passed away when I was 10. So I can't remember exactly how old she was, but she wasn't 60. And so I was trying to reconcile, that doesn't make sense to me, right? There must be something else besides postponing fun and excitement and fulfillment until you're 60 years old. And so the whole model of how normal society works, there was already friction.
Yeah.
And as I went to business school, and I got a great job, and pretty much the company that I worked at, the owner of the company, it was multi-7-figure manufacturing company, and he wanted to hand me the keys. He's like, I don't have a son. You're young, you're ambitious, I like you. Over the next 3 years, I want to train you up. You'll be the VP, I'm going to step back. You just have to figure out what color Porsche you want. Nothing happened in here. The heart didn't do anything. And Tim Ferriss dropped into my field about this idea of lifestyle design. You can design your life in any way you want, and if you actually get super clear as to what you want, that can happen way sooner with entrepreneurship. And a couple other pieces that come to mind there. One is through Tim Ferriss's world, I heard about psychedelics and about intentional psychedelic work, and that led me to have my first intentional ceremony with psilocybin. And I had an experience of being with some people that I loved and being in nature, and I felt something bigger. And for the first time in my life, well, from 10 till about 21, 22, I didn't know this, but I didn't really feel anything. And in that moment, I watched my friends across the room, who were a couple, and they were just like embracing each other, and I started crying. I was like, oh, wow, I love them. I love that they love each other. And that something started to stir, and so I started to just keep pulling that thread. I'm like, okay, entrepreneurship, yes. Feelings, people, having a beautiful life, yes. And that led me to Tony Robbins' world, which had some really powerful, beautiful experiences there. I owned being an entrepreneur for the first time, and then that led me to meeting this guy, continued to do work with meditation, plant medicine, and being in Dan's ecosystem, he told me about masterminds. And so I hosted the first in-person mastermind experience. It was one of the most beautiful weekends that I've ever had. So fun. It was like, oh, these are our people. And at the end of that first weekend, everyone was sitting around like, we're all kind of the same, eh? We're all weird, but we're all successful. We're all kind of the black sheep. And so that was, started a community, which was based around in-person mastermind events. And over the next 3 years, ran, I think, 9 in-person masterminds, built a really beautiful community, and started to just have these experiences where, as Dan was mentioning, it was like what was happening in front of my eyes could not be argued. That there was something greater going on. And the more we did that work and went into that space, the more success started to come, the more momentum started to come. So yeah, there's so many different ingredients to that soup, but just incredibly grateful. It's like, you could see how Bob Proctor's wisdom flows through Dan to me, creating that space. Now that a lot of those people started their own communities, but that's when community came into the picture. I finally felt I felt something. I felt like, I wasn't alone.
Like, just to put a cherry on the top of like that journey, right before we came here, we were in Mexico, right? And we were doing an in real life mastermind event with 24 people who flew from all over the world. We have people from Brazil, from Norway, all over states, Canada. Everyone was represented. There was like a little bit of everything in that mastermind, and all beautiful people. And the space that this guy holds is like, it just creates a container of transformation. And then today we have like our community coaching call. It's different. It hits different when you like you try to coach on Zoom, and it's like you can get to a certain spot, but you bring people together and they experience a transformation or a shift in perspective, an expansion of their mind of what they think is possible, of who they are, and it's like it gets in their bones. And then you show up to an online coaching call, and like they're on fire, and like already, like these are such activation events where they come and already it's like sign new clients, whatever, $6,000 this, booked calls, hire 2 people. Oh, yeah. But it's like that part of the medicine is like, this is why like business and spirituality is like, it's just life. And then and yeah, you can either do life alone, isolated, or you can do it in community, or you can do it connected to something greater. No wrong way, no right way. It's just, I don't know, in my experience, this one's more fun and way more abundant. So
yeah. You guys have talked a lot about finding your people.
Yeah.
So you guys found each other, you found other like-minded entrepreneurs like you. How, because you serve a very specific customer, like a very specific type of a avatar. How did you land on that?
I mean, if you ask like demographically, we work with anybody who has a monetizable skill set.
Sure.
We could work with anybody who has a monetizable skill set. But a lot of people don't vibe with us. A lot of people aren't thinking this way. And so there's like the demographic, and then there's a psychographic. And there's a particular way in which our work will align and serve. And if you're already open to thinking about life from a lens of there being a God, or there being a universal source or power, something greater than yourself that you can tap into. And Think and Grow Rich, it was called infinite intelligence. But it's like, there's something. And if you're open to that, and you have a monetizable skill set, and you're like, those 2 things, if you have those 2 things, we can help you build a business and a life that gives you freedom, fulfillment. Often our people have kids, they have families, they run into they're tired, they realize that the game is set up to like basically take all of their time and keep them isolated, and they don't know that there's another way that they can do it. They can create monthly recurring revenue. They can build a team and create more freedom. They can actually create their lifestyle by design how they want. You can be barefoot on a beach.
You know, it's so funny. I wasn't going to bring this up, but when we were walking down here and we saw this spot, we're like, yeah, this looks good. In my head, I was like, it makes sense that we'd be doing this interview barefoot with these guys. And then you guys sat down and you had your shoes on, and I was like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to see what happens. And then literally just before the episode, Dan just starts taking off his shoes, goes, yeah, this makes sense. Yeah. This makes sense.
Connecting in, yeah.
Did you ever find it hard to say no to the psychographics and the people that you knew weren't your people? Because I think, I'll speak from experience, whenever I started my business, I was just like, anyone who will give me $50 for an invoice, I'll do it.
Same.
I've done some things for $50. I'm not.
Oh God, yeah. Totally.
So how did you transition to this place of like, I call it like high conviction and very like self-assured, where it's like, no, this isn't for you, and actually you're not for us?
I feel like that's a perpetual ongoing thing. Like, because we continue to up-level our skills, our awareness, our coaching, and as a result of that, we choose to work with different caliber clients. In the beginning though, same thing, but the better we get, we keep raising the bar, we keep raising the standard, and we want our clients and people who don't know us yet to like meet us there. And so it's just like, I think for me, it's more so just being aware of like, what is my standard? What is the standard of client that we know we can help them the most? And we don't always get that right, you know, like sometimes we don't know until we're in. But yeah, it's like, it's kind of like an ongoing refinement process, I would say.
Yep.
Yeah.
The external clarity and conviction that we can have now with who we're working with is a direct reflection of the clarity and conviction that we have internally about ourselves or who we are or what we represent. But people do slip through the cracks, and they're like, yeah, this isn't really our vibe, isn't really a person. And then Dan and I are chatting. Like, I don't know, this person's here for a reason, I think.
Totally. Yeah, every single person that has come in that has not been a fit has been an amazing teacher. Has like literally given us the code at the exact time to for us to see like, oh, that's yep. Thank you.
It's almost as if things don't happen to you.
Almost.
It's as if they happen for you.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. It's I don't know, and the more you resist them, the more that you see the parts of them that aren't supposedly a fit, the more conflict there's going to be, the more chargebacks or whatever, until you open up and you start to see in a different way. Like, okay, let's look for the gold. Let's do some panning. It's going to be dirty, a little gritty. It's guaranteed, though. The gold is there.
And now you're back to the Spider-Man meme. Teacher.
Totally.
Yep.
The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek.
On that, I'm imagining like newer entrepreneurs or younger version of myself listening to this, and it's like in the beginning, you just take whatever, because you need to learn. Like you don't have a standard. You don't know what the standard is. You don't likely even have the skill set or the that's where all the learning happens though. So you just, in the beginning, you just help people, you just serve people. And then through the process, this is what, like I'll say like the niche is something that you earn. People talk about like, oh, you got to choose a niche. And they're like, I work with men or women. Like, yeah, but there's no way 2 years ago that I could tell you that we're going to be experts on Skool and helping people build their businesses and communities on Skool. I couldn't have known that. But because I've been like in this work for however long, and it's like you start to see opportunities that other people wouldn't be able to see, and then you have specialized knowledge, and then that's what a niche is. It's like specialized knowledge that people will pay a premium for.
Right.
And the only way to get that is like you do it. You're not going to learn it in a book. Yeah.
You attract the client you think you deserve.
Yep.
Consciously or subconsciously.
Yeah. Saw a really good meme. I think it was posted in the Skool meme competition. It didn't have anything to do with Skool, but it was a really good meme. And it was, you know, this guy, maybe, I think it was like an older father type figure, like embracing like a younger son like figure, looking out over like a beautiful sunset. And he was like, yeah, this is really nice. But it's nowhere near as good as saying no and firing a client.
Yep.
Yeah.
You ever done that?
Yeah.
Feels pretty good. To go from the the absolute desperation and scarcity if I will do anything for $50 to refunding somebody 10 grand.
Yeah.
Talked about it today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, it's different when, like, here's like an abundance code. And it's tricky because in the beginning, it's very likely that you'll have you need the money. Right.
Yeah.
Like, and then you bring that like neediness to everything that you do.
Oh yeah.
And then you repel everything.
Oh
away.
yeah.
And it's like all the money comes when you don't need the money, which is like another beautiful paradox. But if you can, in your mind, be that now, like in the beginning, even when we didn't have money, it's like we still approached it like with a level of, I'm not going to sell myself out for, like, I'm just going to try and help you. And if you don't want to, that's totally fine. But it is easier when you have money. That's true. Like, yeah. Because there's things that are way more valuable than money. My time is worth way more than money. My energy, my state is like, there's things that are more valuable than money.
I just looked behind me. I was like, oh my gosh! Yeah. It's like that photo I took of you guys, where it's like you think this is the really beautiful moment, and then you look behind you and it's like, what? Crazy.
Yeah.
So, you guys have kind of prophetically done what a lot of community owners on Skool are about to do, which is you've leveraged online communities to bring people together IRL in the real world.
The best. Yeah.
So could you share a few nuggets for the community owner listening who really wants to start to bring their community offline and host meetups, in-person events, masterminds for their Skool group?
I'll start with one quick thing, and I'll channel Hermosi for a second, or actually maybe Layla. Like, fuck your feelings, just do it. There's so many people that are like, well, what if I don't do it? Just do it.
Tell them your first one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
2020, world's weird.
Great year.
Great year. Shout out 2020. The theme is fear and isolation. Yeah. That's the theme of 2020. And I found myself in my garage, no Ty Lopez supercars.
Damn.
Yeah.
Any knowledge in there?
There's some knowledge.
Damn.
There's some knowledge in that garage. But I was working on a new offer, as we do. And I just felt lonely, was the truth. And I wanted to be around, this is like, the desire that was calling me is I wanted to be around like-minded people that were weird like us, but were successful in business. And Dan and Hardy give me some ideas about masterminding, bring groups together. And so I just found 3 or 4 people like us. Hey, would you be interested in doing something like this? Like, absolutely. We had to kind of dodge and weave the rules of the time of, people weren't allowed to gather in person, right? And so the perfect window opened up in Canada where a small group was allowed to gather, and essentially I had 3 or 4 people that were like, yeah, that sounds amazing, and found a place on Airbnb. And I knew that these 3 or 4 people, from their commitment, was going to pay for the place. Wasn't going to lose any money. And essentially, gave the best deal in the world of, I forget how much, essentially just covered the costs of the place. And everyone brought their own food. Said, okay, you guys are on breakfast. Make whatever you want. Breakfast tacos. Okay, it sounds amazing. So everyone cooked for each other. Everyone brought food. And it was just there wasn't a name for the event. I think it was just a business mastermind. But we did set an intention at the beginning, and we brought in the mastermind principles from Bob Proctor, which we still use today at our in-person events. Yeah. And it was simple, it was light, and because we were together in person, we laughed, we cried, and we came up with amazing, powerful business ideas. And there was no business plan. There was no it was just birthed out of the desire to be around like-minded individuals in real life, because Zoom wasn't cutting it. And Zoom's amazing, and school is amazing, but the bridge of this moment that we're having here right now, it's what makes everything actually happen, and it makes it all worth it.
Yeah, I just can't get over that, like thinking about the, whatever it was, 15, 20 people who came to that event with like brown paper bags with their food in it. and then contrasting that 3 years later with lots of doing lessons, this work, that work, to, you know, we're facilitating a retreat in Mexico in a ball-in villa, 24 people, full staff, most delicious food, like, came a ways.
Mm-hmm. And OG mastermind would be actually Dan in Victoria.
Yeah.
Shout out to those two elderly individuals.
Yeah. This is the thing, it's like, we see it all the time with our clients. Spend so much time in your head thinking about, I gotta get this right, I gotta do, it's like, just take action in the direction. When I was starting, I went to a new city, I didn't know anybody, I was like, I had to knock on doors and do all this stuff, and I'm like, what would be a better way? And I put an ad in Craigslist, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna be reading a book at this coffee shop if anybody wants to join me. And these two, Penny and Jamie Stevenson, wow, that's a long memory, they showed up, and I was like, you want to read Think and Grow Rich together? They're like, yeah. I'm like, do you know anybody? And in a matter of like maybe, I would say a month, I was facilitating 5 groups of 10 people. We were all reading Think and Grow Rich together, and I became a center of influence of 50 people all around that city. I never had to worry about getting a client from anywhere. And I wasn't doing anything directly related to, like, I was a financial planner. This was talking about, you know, Think and Grow Rich, or other books too. But I was building relationships, yeah. So it's such a powerful principle. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like so many people, particularly early stage entrepreneurs, or when any of us embark in like a new thing,
yeah,
we all want like the Google Maps, like direct, step-by-step coordinates. And like you said, it's like all you actually need is a compass.
Totally.
I think it's roughly northeast.
Most of
Let's
my life
go.
I spent thumbing the entire thing. My finances, my like the business. It's like, yeah, I think it's about that direction. Yeah, and it works because you're just moving towards. What is it? What is that quote? It's like the best definition of success. It's like success is just simply the pursuit of a worthy goal or ideal. It's like once you hit whatever the goal is, you realize like all the fun was in the trying to accomplish the thing.
Yeah.
And then you do that enough times, and then it's like it shifts everything. Like I set goals, but it has nothing to do with the goal.
Right.
We weren't even going to compete in the Skool Games.
Sure.
But then we're like, well, we don't have another peg in front of it. Let's just win this one. And you know what? The minute we decided to play, within the first week, we had about 6 or 7 like lessons that will fundamentally change the entire structure of our. Yeah, we had already won long before we won. We already got like 7 different. We hired a couple people because we had constraints. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I remember asking someone one time. He's a painter. He does like portraits. He's a Belfast guy, and he like painted the Queen and like Brad Pitt and all these kind of big, great people around the world. And I asked him like what's the goal of the artist? And he just was like, yeah, just to like keep making art.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's like this a success as an artist, as a creator, as someone who is bringing about their purpose into the world. Success is just the ability to keep on doing it.
Totally. Yeah. 100%.
It's a gift every day. You wake up, you're like, I get to try and create something. Thank you.
So if we go, let's do another little time travel moment.
Amazing.
Let's do, this is kind of like a Back to the Future sort of moment.
Cool.
And I'm going to put you guys on the spot here.
All right.
Talk to us about the coffee shop that you guys met in 7 years ago. And yeah, and what you guys are going to do with it.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. So there's a little synchronicity. So the coffee shop currently, it's called Black Sheep Cafe, which was also the name of the masterminds. Also, for context, on one side of this coffee shop is a sushi shop, and the other side is like a breakfast bakery shop. And every Friday, Alexander and I, after the week, we like go walk for a couple hours. We talk about clients, we make our plans. It's just like a walking meeting, and then we go often have sushi at this sushi place. We've been there so much that we have a table. Like it's
Ooh, the
like,
regulars.
It's like if somebody's there, it's kind of like, what are they doing?
Excuse me?
They don't know.
You're in our spot.
They're here.
Sir, we're going to have to ask you to leave.
Yeah. And so yeah, like that. And this coffee shop is like, it's a special place. It's right downtown. It's a brick building. It has a lot of heritage and history. I think it was built in the
One of the oldest spots.
one of the oldest spots in Kelowna, where we live. And it's got like a loft and an outside patio and beautiful spot. And yeah, any other like specific back then memories?
Well, it's the first place we ever had a meeting,
Right.
and then our other office that we referenced is literally across the street. You can see it.
It's from 7 years ago.
So you're telling me the place has a lot of lore?
Has a lot of lore.
Deep lore.
And that was where we got coffee back in the day. And we knew the manager of the shop, and if we were doing some work, it was like that was the spot. Hundreds of cups of coffee, maybe thousands, consumed in this location.
Maybe one other seed in the mix. When I was working in finance, I left like big corporate and started to work with like boutique financial firms. And part of the model that we found worked amazing, it was like totally different model at the time, were building out these financial cafes. Because the financial cafe became a community spot. And we would throw these parties at the cafe. They were called Party with Purpose. And we would bring in a local charity, we'd bring in a local artist, and we would raise money, and we would promote locally, and we would have a great time, raise a bunch of money. And this is how we generated all of our leads and built our entire business as a little hub, a little coffee shop in the day, and then a little like party place at night. And I helped find like 14 of them. And the coffee shop model was just like, yeah, I've done that. It's great. It's super. They're easy. They're fun. And it becomes a center hub for the community.
I have one other nugget. Is the core thing that I tell people over and over and over again. If they're trying to get to six figures, go meet people for coffee. Go love on them. Go serve. Go meet them in real life, and just serve. Right? And then just at the end of that, say, hey, was that helpful? Do you want me to help you more? Or, hey, do you know someone? Like, I feel like my entire career was born coffee to coffee in coffee shops. Yeah.
Yeah.
One cup of coffee at a time.
Exactly.
Yeah. One cup. Yeah, that should be like a metric in the KPIs. Like, how many cups of coffee did you have today? No wonder you're not making it.
Those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up.
Throw a couple of decafs in there.
So, first Skool Games, or first official Skool Games.
Second for us, but first official one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're having dinner with Sam. Yeah, and just like doing as you do, talking with Sam, and I forget even how it came into the conversation, but it was like the idea of in real life is like it's palpable inside school headquarters for sure, but as you talk to people, it's like it's something that I think it's like a core piece of community building. And I think he just shared that he was like, yeah, I think it would be cool to have, you know, I can't do his accent, but
I thought you were gonna try. Yeah.
Teed. Go to heaven. No, sorry, Sam. But like, yeah, having like co-working spaces or these ideas. And it was just kind of like an off-the-cuff comment, like that he mentioned. We both heard it.
Yeah, we noticed it. Yeah.
Did you hear that? I heard that, yeah.
Did you pick up that?
Yeah.
Huh,
Did you say
interesting.
that? I think so.
Yep.
And then that's literally just been brewing in our.
And that was in March?
That was in March.
In like the Astoria, Waldorf Astoria restaurant or something like
that
that?
was the one, yeah.
Do you know what's kind of crazy about that? This just came to me when you just told that story. So Mark's laughing, right? Because the lunch that Mark and I had with Sam was like whenever like the school podcast became a thing. Like that's whenever we did a deal. And we got up from the table, and you guys were sitting right there. And we came up, we're like, hey guys, what's going on? And Rima inside us, we were like, oh my word, like we're just officially part of school now.
We'll probably turn that restaurant in the future into something. Magical place.
Into a school museum. So the seed was planted in March.
Is that
after the first
seed
games?
planted in March, and our team.
That place with the.
It's also where we first met.
Exactly.
Yo.
Yep.
Like that restaurant.
Yeah, that restaurant.
There's something about that restaurant, guys.
It was school. School. Yeah.
Yep.
Something about school.
And at that time, back in Kelowna, this coffee shop is just operating normally. It's a business. They had multi-year elite. That space is not available.
Yep. And our team, our business has been growing. Our team has been growing, and then we start kind of having conversations about, get an office. We're almost kind of at that space, and then we're kind of like, it'd be cool, like maybe a cafe, and then we're like, wait a second. And this is it's like, if you're listening, there's just like ideas and things floating, and so anyways, you're like, wait a second. Maybe we get an office, maybe that co-working space that Sam was talking about, I don't know. And maybe like 2 months ago, the coffee shop, perfect coffee shop, out of business. Lease available.
3 months later, it rose again.
It died.
It died. It died. Mm-hmm. The seed died and went into the ground. What happens next will shock you.
Yeah. What happens next will shock you. Will shock me. Yeah. But it's going to be rad. It's going to be...
Well, what's going to be rad? Just to make it clear.
Well, you're the You're the prophesier.
It's your idea. So this coffee shop, which has deep lore, and by the way, like we were talking a lot about this with Ted and Benny D. Shout out to the legends, the boys, about how spaces hold memories. And we talked about the difference between like a new build house and a very, very old house. It's like the spirit of the memories like stay around a place. And we talked about like places having different energies based on what was going on in there. And you brought up Skool HQ. Like Skool HQ has a lot of magic to it.
Oh man, total magic.
You know, like there's magic in the walls.
Totally.
In the sauna too.
Yeah, there's a special kind of magic in the sauna. And everything that's in school, like all the little objects, it's like they all have so much meaning baked into it. It creates a very magical atmosphere. And so I think it's funny that this coffee shop, this cafe,
this Skool Cafe,
this Skool
if you will,
Cafe, also has that for you guys, you know, the memories of 1,000 coffees. Yeah. So you guys are about to do a pretty cool experiment with this cafe.
Yeah.
That's Skool related.
Yes.
And this is the part where you tell us what that experiment is.
Yeah.
Just as the sun re-emerges from the clouds, just as Dan's face becomes illuminated by the warmth of the rays.
This also reminds me of the first official Skool Games. Is we were doing a podcast, self-led in Kelowna, and there was a moment where we called a shot. A possibility on the horizon.
This is actually like a lot of us included. Sometimes calling the shot is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what if it doesn't happen?
Sure.
But we've done this enough times. So I think it's going to be really amazing when the center of Kelowna opens the doors to the first Skool Cafe, a micro version of Skool headquarters, where it becomes a hub for all of the local communities. I mean, that where community builders and owners can come together and have coffee or do events or jam together. And it's like, it brings together the actual local community in a way, and it bridges, it's like online but in person, and you can have churches, you can have the finance professionals, you can have the arts and craft professionals.
Yeah, all the local businesses, restaurants, barbers.
There's a use case for Skool. With
you get a community, you get a community, you get a community.
Yeah, and then it's like, and the gap between online and in person is like bridged, because there's a hub, there's a in real person place, and of our people. Something that came up in the Skool Games that was like, congratulations on all the work that you've done to get yourself in a room where you don't have to explain yourself. And if you're a community builder, or you're a self-employed, or an entrepreneur, you're just building something. It's like, that can be a lonely road, and it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And to be able to create a space, that like fosters that connection, that is even like a fraction of fun as the Skool headquarters, is like, it's going to be great. So
it's the seed that will bloom into the first example of what's possible in this model, which then can be spread and replicated, and just in the same way that we will bring Skool to Kelowna and to the west coast of Canada overall, can take that exact same model, can bring it to Taiwan.
Crazy. Yeah.
Find your people.
Find your people.
I found mine. Mark, get in here, complete the circle.
Amazing.
Rare producer Mark, appearance on camera. Yeah. And for everyone watching, we are also holding your hands.
Except you.
Yeah. You with the blue hat, not you.
Yeah.
Not specifically, not you. But here's a CTA. You ready for a CTA?
Yeah.
If you want to be part of Skool Cafe Kelowna, this experiment that these fine gentlemen are running, you feel that call in your bones, in your soul, you feel like these are my people, and put me in, coach, I want to be a part of it, reach out.
Yep. On Skool.
On Skool.
It's going to be the easiest thing
And
I've ever done.
Let's see what emerges from here.
Amazing.
Love you guys.
Love you. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Oh, he does the final pan! Yeah!
Fade into the sunset.
We just all need to like run on into the beach. It's like
Wow, that is pretty remarkable.